What's in the box? We'll hang about and we'll find out. Hello fellow CNC nuts, and welcome. You know, one of the things about installing the new spindle on my machine is that actually getting it on there and spinning is only half the job. What you discover after you've done that is that all the attachments you previously had will no longer fit. My old router body was 89mm in diameter, and the new spindle is 80mm. Now that means the laser shoe no longer fits on the body of the spindle, and unfortunately nor does my DustShoe, and that's a big problem. Now this is the original split shoe from CNCnutz. It's a great design. We have here a perspex body that mounts or clamps to the actual router itself. We have a place for an extraction hose to go, and then we have the brush. And this brush is a great design as well. It's magnetically held to the top here, and it's keyed so it can only go in one way round. It's using rare earth magnets, and they hold well. I've never had this brush come free. And what's more, the bristles on this brush, I've had this brush 7.5 years. These bristles are as good as the day I brought it. Kent sent me an extra 2-inch brush should I ever need to replace this, and I never have. They are in perfect condition. Since it no longer fitted, I now have the problem of what I'm going to do. Now I overcame the first problem of making it fit onto the spindle by making this. I machined this ring here and I held it in place on the perspex using this here, just an RTV silicon sealer, and that holds really well. The problem is though, the actual collet on my spindle is a lot longer than it was on the router, almost by about 1 inch. And that means these bristles are no longer long enough to reach the tabletop. So I'm left with the problem again. Do I design my own, or do I get a new brush for this one? After thinking long and hard about this, I came to the conclusion that I really like this. It's an excellent product. I'll get a new brush. And that is what I have here. So let's open the box and have a look. So there's a bit of newspaper. Nation and World, San Antonio Express. Bit of light reading for later. We have a letter here that came with it. Gives you information on the DustShoe, Kent's card, and the brush itself. More light reading. And here we go. Now, these bristles are a little bit out of shape at the moment, but I can tell you that based on the bristles for this one here, they'll get back up to the original shape in no time. Let's see if it fits, shall we? A perfect fit. Now the split shoe comes in 2 different flavors. We have this one here, it's called the standard split shoe, and it has a 4-inch port here to connect to your dust collector. The other one's called the mini split shoe. It has a 2.5-inch port here, and it's designed to connect to your shop vac. On the other side, of course, we have the hole for our router. Now, On Kent's website you can select from a whole range of different routers and their varying hole sizes, so simply select the one that's correct for your machine. Now on Kent's instructions it tells you not to over tighten this clamp here when clamping it to your router. When I originally got this here, to stop me doing anything stupid, or at least stupider than normal, I stuck a couple of washers in the gap there. That allowed me to tighten it down correctly onto the router, but not such that I could over tighten it. And that's worked really well for me. To clamp it on, of course, all you need is an Allen key. A 5/32, or if you live in a metric country, a 5mm Allen key. Now fitting this to your machine couldn't be simpler. Just take your dust extraction hose and just wind the hose on. You can also fit a clamp around here to hold it a little bit firmer, but I find it doesn't leak on me at all. Slip it up over the router and tighten the clamp here. I've a little clip up the top here to hold it more rigid. Now simply take your DustShoe and clip it in place. When it comes to changing around a bit, it's really easy because you can see straight through the perspex here. And then simply clip on the brush. So this truly is an innovative design. As far as I'm aware, it's the first DustShoe to have magnetic holding for the brush. It's see-through, so you can change those router bits really easy, but it has another trick up its sleeve. Inside here, there's a 1-inch brush. The purpose of that is to stop these bristles being sucked up into the dust extraction hose. That brush only goes halfway around this here, but that's all that's required. There's been a lot of thought go into the design of this brush, and it uses really high quality bristles. Bristles that will bounce back into shape if you mistreat them. So I decided I'd do a test cut. I'm basically using an up-cutting spiral bit and am machining a pocket to make as much dust as possible. I'm using MDF to make sure it's nice fine dust, and we'll see what the result is. One thing you do need to be careful of is to not trap the filaments between the walls of a pocket and the cutter. This is true of any DustShoe. I had no problem whatsoever. The bristles didn't even come close to getting caught. Now with regards to the bristles being sucked up into the inlet, I saw no evidence of that at all whatsoever. Now mine is only a 1 horsepower dust collector, so you might find a 2 horsepower dust collector will give different results. Either way, that 1-inch inside brush is certainly going to help. So let's have a bit of a look at it. There's very little dust left on here. From the point of view, there's virtually nothing down the sides here, which is where I used to get actually quite a lot of it. And there's only a tiny little pinch of it on the inside here. Now there is dust left in the grooves, but to be honest, that's to be expected. It's very hard for a dust collection system to get rid of this sort of dust that's left on the table, but it did make sure no other dust got away from it, so I'm quite impressed by that. It works a little bit better than my 2-inch brush. While I have to say my split shoe with the 3-inch brush on it worked really well. Now, brushes aren't the only thing you can get for these here. They come in 3-inch and 2-inch brushes, and of course I'll be using the 2-inch brush as well when I'm using a shorter cutter, and I'll put the 3-inch on when I'm using a longer bit. But you can also get spacer rings that will space out a brush by another 1/2 inch. So that might be an interesting piece to get as well. You can also get replacement brushes should you need to replace them. Now I should mention this is not a paid endorsement for this particular DustShoe. It is simply something that I have and I like. I think it works really well, and it's well worth your while considering getting one of these here if you're looking for a DustShoe. Of course, There's nothing wrong with making your own. But I didn't see any point myself in simply copying this one here. It wouldn't be fair to the developer of it. Now, the one thing that I did find expensive was the shipping. Now, if you live in the USA, then it's great. You get free shipping on your order, which is excellent. And I was able to make use of that because New Zealand Post operate a service called UShop. It gives me an address in the US. And I simply got the DustShoe shipped to there. When it arrived, they emailed me to let me know that it arrived, and then I simply had to pay the cost to get it to New Zealand. And that worked out a lot cheaper and made it well worth doing. Now, I believe Australia Post also operate the same sort of service, and that could be true for other countries as well. I'd be very surprised in this day and age if most of the major postal services didn't offer this. So have a look into it. Check out your main carrier's website and see if they offer a similar service. I hope one day to be able to give this a go and maybe order something from McMaster Car, because they're well known for not sending things to overseas recipients. Another annoying thing is Amazon as well. You can quite often pick out what you want to buy there, but when it comes to checking out, it says they won't send it to your country, which I also find annoying. So, might have to have a play with that as well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe it'll give you something to think about when you're looking for a DustShoe. I find that this one does everything I want it to, and that's good enough for me. All that remains for me to do is to thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out my website, www.CNCnutz.com. In the meantime, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later. Cheers!